Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Tutoring Business. We are going to focus on the tactics side of our business today. This is like the nitty gritty part of the business. This is where we start to move away from the operational strategic chat into the actual operations. So what do we mean by that? Well, there are sections to our business. Like, for example, if we're talking about vision and strategy, and the roadmap to wherever it is that we want to go. Remember, it's your own roadmap, not somebody else's, ideally. We have the strategic thinking time, the time where we are working on the growth of the business rather than just inside. So for us as tuition business owners, this is not about delivery of tuition sessions, although that's still really important in the growth of your business. High level tuition is always going to grow just through word of mouth. But then when you add in some of the other tools that we talk about, that's accelerated growth. Okay, so high level tuition is always going to help you grow. But what we talk about is that in working alongside having a strategy that's pointing you towards the overall vision of your business. So in this kind of small like podcast series where we're talking about these pieces of the business puzzle, just to give you a better overview of what we need to have in place. Like the vision is where we begin. Then we break that vision down into smaller pieces of how we're going to meet that end goal. And then we break that down even further into what we can do either in quarters, in months, in weeks, and then days. So we get our day-to-day tasks. These are the tactics that you are going to deploy to help you find the clients, to help you onboard your clients, and to grow your tuition business into whatever it is that you want. So some of you might be going, well, I want to make 5 figures every month. That's 10K or more. Brilliant. At what point do you want to earn that by? That's your vision. By what point do you want to earn that by would be your end goal. And then we break that down into sections. So what we tend to do is break that down into quarters. So by the end of the 4th quarter, wherever that might be, depending on where you're starting in your business, we want to have 10K a month coming in. Then we break that down and we look at how we can step the business up to achieve that. Now, getting to 10K isn't easy, but at the same time, it's not impossible. So for most of us, if you're brand new to tuition business, you might be saying 10K a month, that sounds insane. I remember it felt insane to me. What was I focused on in the beginning was trying to get to what I was earning before, like as a teacher, as an assistant head. But the reality was, I didn't really need to earn that amount anyway. When I really worked out what my bottom line was, by the way, check out the Pit Pony podcast for that, the original Pit Pony podcast for that, because you get that given to you, like how you can do it. We don't need to hit that teacher salary. However, it's just quite nice to do, and it's a great target to have. So why not put it in as your vision? But we can break that down and say, well, we need to be here by this point. So point B is here, the end goal. We're here right now. We break this down into smaller pieces of tasks and targets, actually becomes relatively straightforward. The tactics are what I get asked the most about, because this is the how. Like, how do we actually do this? What am I actually doing on a day-to-day basis to make this happen? And there's not an easy answer for this, which is why the course exists. This is why the support for business owners exists. It's why there's coaches and mentors and memberships and anything else out there that's supporting the growth of the business or giving you some new skills to use, because there isn't a one magic wand or wave of the wand that's going to solve all your problems for you. Actually, there's quite a few things. I call them pieces to the puzzle. Other people call them something else. But there are so many different pieces to the puzzle that we need to be at least okay at for it to, one, grow, but then also be maintained and then sustained into the future. So let's kind of hone in a little bit more. Let's say our target is 10K a month this time next year, so December 2025. We don't need to be at 10K a month in January 2025. What we need to do is have a very sensible plan so that we can reach the 10K a month by the final month of the year. So we look at January and we say, well, where are we now? What's a sensible jump? How many more people do we actually need to find that would keep us on track for that magical 10K month in December? along the way, there might be a change in your business model. Along the way, you might have to think about hiring people. Along the way, you might have to think about a premise, or you might need to think about upgrading your software, or there might be different trainings you might need to do to make sure you have the right skill set and level so that you can reach the right amount of people. This, for me, is what makes business really fun because you don't quite know where it's going to take you, even though you know you've got a good direction, you have this target at the end of 10K. The things that happen in between are going to force you out of a comfort zone because you might very comfortably get to 4K, 5K a month just using your current business model and filling up all of your spaces. That's great, like 4 or 5K a month. And most of us were dreaming of that right in the beginning. But that same business model might not help you double or get you double the amount to get to 10K. By the way, there's no, I've made up the 10K thing. I'm not saying you have to do that, but whatever it is you have, there may be a switch somewhere. To get to 5K a month, for an example, you're probably going to need to either be high level leverage of your time, so one-to-ones, but a high level, so £100 an hour or more, or you're going to do some kind of small to medium sized groups, or maybe a mixture of everything. But there's going to be some leverage somewhere. So you're not going to get to 5, 6, 7K a month selling your tuition services at 30 to £40 an hour. You're just not, it's not going to, you're not going to have enough time in the week. And if you did create enough time in the week, you are going to burn out at some point, or your energy levels are going to drop. Therefore, your standards and the way that you show up will also be affected. So we want to make sure there's that protection of time, of your time and energy as well. There's no right or wrong answer to this. Again, it's your blueprint. So whatever you're deciding, it's up to you. If you don't enjoy groups, don't do groups. If you want to leverage more time during the day, then that might mean you focusing on some home ed or international students, or maybe EOTAS contracts on local government. Whatever it may be, everything can kind of piece together and become part of your bigger goal. So if we were earning, say, £2,000 a month in January, but by the time we get to December, we need to make sure that we are like building in enough growth in January that keeps us on track. So roughly it's probably £607 a month more every single month. If we did that every single month, we'd hit our 10K. So how are we going to make an extra £700 in January? And we use our tax system. We say, well, I can fill up all of my spaces. That gives me £700. Then we look at February, and it might be a change again. You might go, well, I'm going to move this one into a group. So I need to find 5 people for that group. So you use all of your effort to go and find 5 people. And then we keep doing this month on month, and we find our tactics based on where we want to be. Now, 10K is a bit of a stretch, right? If you're brand new, you might not even believe me yet that that's possible. Trust me, it is. But at the moment, let's just say there's that element of doubt. That's fine. Like, all we need to do is effectively go, how many hours have we got over the week? If you're going to stay independent, how many hours can you work over the week? What are those hours? How much do you want to earn? Divide the two, and you end up with an hourly rate that helps you find that magical number. Now you've got a pricing system. That's another podcast for another time. Some basic pricing there for you. Now you know how much you need to sell each hour for. So if I want to get to 10K a month and I can only work, let's say I can do 15 hours a week, I would work out what that would mean with those numbers. And I can't do that on top of my head, but I would then work out what each hour's worth that I could do. And then I'd make sure my business model would fit that amount. And then I would try my hardest to like accelerate the growth and find those clients. So let's just take a bit of an example, because I feel like I want you to leave with something, a strategy that you can use here. So a tactic for me would be, okay, I need to find 10 new clients in January. Okay, if I find 10 new clients in January, that would actually mean about £1,000 in my business. That might be different for you, but in my business, about £1,000. So all my efforts are going to go finding those 10 people. Where do I usually find my clients? So my clients are mainly through word of mouth. They'll use and through Facebook, whether that's through my Facebook page being shared, but through my Facebook profile. But I also go into Facebook groups, so everything's very Facebook driven or word of mouth. So my first thing is I've got all of my current parents' email addresses. I email them and say, look, I've got so many spaces I want to fill this month. Here is I suppose a PDF or an image of my timetable or contact details for me. I might be hosting a webinar, an informational webinar. I might be doing something very specific. And I would ask them to share with their friends. Word of mouth is always the easiest and quickest way to grow. So I'm going to just lean into them. That's the tactic that you can use. I'd bring that down. I actually use a Google spreadsheet, but I'd bring that down and I would make that a task for me. It's a daily task. Sorry, not a daily task, but it'll come into my day-to-day list of things to do. So I might do that once a month. Say, for example, just with my current parents. If I was really chasing, I might do something once a week for a while until they say, can you stop sending me that, please? But I would really lean on the current parents because word of mouth is really good. Then I would look at what I'm posting over Facebook and I would share something like, if I was really trying to find new clients, like I was in that real pain point, I would definitely be posting at least once a day and then sharing just one of those posts using my personal profile. I'd also create a post that I could then reuse in the Facebook groups where I know I'm allowed to advertise. And what I've done is I've just widened the net. So I've gone from my parents, which is quite, I suppose, boundary. Like if I've only got 10 parents in my business, I can only send those to 10 parents. I've then used my my Facebook business page, Mr. C's Tutoring. And so that's got a bit of a reach, I suppose. But then I've used my personal profile as well. That's got a wider reach. And then into the Facebook groups where we're up to the gods and the algorithm gods of Facebook to decide who gets to see it. But I'm going to make sure that I've done all of those things. They are on my to-do list to do as a kind of day-to-day tactic. Now, I can't post in every group every day. I'm not going to share every single post I do on my business page and my profile because that would just annoy my people on my social media feed. But the ones where I know I'm sharing stuff of high value, they're the ones that I would share. I want people to get to know about me. I want people to learn that I exist. Once they're in my tuition world, I want to make sure they understand how I work and why I do it. So I want to share that expertise basically. Once I've got them in my tuition world, they're far more likely to, one, see my content if they like or follow my page, but then also become engaged. And it's when they're engaged, that is when they're more than likely then to send a message to say, oh, we're interested in tuition. What do we need to do? And that's what I mean by tactics. We bring it down to like really miniature type tasks that help us grow. Now, the magic really happens is when we start to work out what works for the business and what doesn't. So we start to get rid of the stuff that doesn't work and we really focus on the stuff that does. That's what we talk about on the course because that's the magic right there. That's the skill that I really want to give you. I'm going to leave it there for now. There is still more to come. We're going to talk about what have we done? We've done vision and strategy. We've also now done tactics. I'd like to do some sales and I'd like to talk about visibility. And I want to give you an overview about marketing. So there's a lot to come from this kind of mini series. Right, take care, everybody.